Long time no see. It's been a minute, and that's because I was on vacation. Uh, For some reason, this thing is out to get me. You may not have heard the looping that I heard, but boy, that was annoying. Anyway, I'm back in the office. I'm excited to be here. We're going to do this thing called Ask a Traffic Cop. It's the show on the internet that answers your traffic and police questions. I do have a song. Do I do it? Do I play it now? No, we'll play it later. It's an AI generated song because I haven't been playing with it while I was off, but they released a new version and it's pretty spectacular. Like the new stuff it can do. It's just so much more. Anyway, if you're watching us, you are probably watching on, well, one of these channels that I'm going to put above my head in 1 second. Where'd my buttons go? Oh, I'm looking at different things. Anyway, up here. Yes, those are the platforms we're currently streaming to. We're talking about, let's see here. We're talking about TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and X, which is, used to be Twitter, but it is X. I just call it Twitter. I can't help myself. If you're watching on any of those, know that you can engage. You can actually converse, be part of the show, because this show is really for you. It's to answer your traffic and police questions. Yeah. If you don't ask me questions, we have very little to talk about. I can tell you all about my staycation. That's something that happened last week. But yeah, that's the whole thing is ask us questions. We want to help you out. We want you to know stuff before you do stuff so you don't get charged with stuff. And what else can I tell you about? Oh, yes. We do download these and then post them as podcast episodes. So if you can't stick around for the show, I get it. But if you want to listen to us while you're on the road and you want to do it legally without, being eligible for distracted driving tickets, for having your screen visible, and not wasting your valuable data, then go to Apple Podcasts, iHeart Radio's podcast section. You can go to Spotify. You can do it whatever way you want to do it. There's a whole bunch of them. Links by going to ASKaTrafficCop.TrafficCop.ca. Makes sense, right? What do we got here? Oh, I did that one already. Maybe we'll have the logos up here today. Keep it interesting. No, down here? I can't decide. Anyway, let's start off with some Vision Zero-y stuff because I haven't talked about that in a while. Let me see. Didn't queue it up before the show. Why would I be prepared? No. Today is it really the 27th? It is the 27th. I checked my watch. It confirmed it. Today, the magical people from Vision Zero Enforcement Team are spending time in another 2 divisions. Now, they're focused on the big 4. They're looking for speeders, aggressive drivers, distracted drivers, impaired drivers, because they're the Vision Zero enforcement team, and they go out and look for those behaviors because they know they lead to serious injury and death on our roads. Today, they're focused on that magic in 14 Division and 41 Division. Oh, interesting. 14, 41. You tell me if you're picking up what I'm putting down. It's the neighborhoods of Christie, Ossington, Annex, Little Italy, Dorset Park, Kennedy Park, Birchcliff, Cliffside, neighborhoods where real people live, work, and play and deserve to be safe. So yeah, a week of vacation. That's what I was doing, which you would think that would be relaxing. I did sleep. I caught. Can you ever catch up on sleep? I got more sleep. I got notifications from my my watch that I hit my 8 hours. I never hit 8 hours, so it was pretty cool that way. In terms of rest, no, it was busy. It was a busy time, but it's a good time. Okay, Paul says, good morning, all. Welcome home, Sean. Yeah, the studio is my home away from home. Tim Shallow says, good morning, Sean. Hope your vacation was awesome. It truly was. Anytime I get to spend time at home with family is good time. Julie says, good morning, Sean. Welcome back. Thank you. Go. Chase says, good morrow. How was vacay? It was great. It was great, but I need a rest, which is why I came back to work. Let's see here. Emily wants to pursue a career in juvenile justice. What should I LOL for? I don't know why you LOL. Look for. There's a correction. I don't know what to suggest to you for juvenile justice. It's not an area of my that I can really speak to. But I would suggest speaking to people in the area that you want to get into. So specifically speak to police officers or other workers in the environment. Maybe speak to someone in the courts, go watch what's going on, and ask some questions of people. Because as the traffic cop, I just don't know where to suggest you spend your time. Although, look at different school programs. There must be something out there. Radek says good morning, and Mike later says hello, and I like the way you write later. And now I want to have a steak. Don't ask me why. Let's see here. Okay, if Life of Dare Bear says, if we have one drink, then wait 10 hours, are we good to drive? One alcoholic beverage, one normal serving, a beer, a shot, a glass of wine, in 10 hours, you'd be, in my opinion, more than okay. But you know what? The people who are drinking multiple drinks and are just really amping up on alcohol intake and then driving later, they may not be okay. Everyone is different, and the big thing is to know and plan ahead. So 10 hours is a long time. I think you'd be okay, but you know, there are people who are drinking up until they get ready to go, and they think they'll be fine because they feel okay. Well, drunk people aren't a good. They don't make good decisions. So you shouldn't ask a drunk person, even if it's yourself, if you're good in the moment. Okay. Mr. Hockey Man wants to know if it's legal to do a U-turn on a green or advanced turn light. Everyone does it. So generally speaking, yes, as long as it can be done safely. The issue that I see more often than not are the people making U-turns on red lights. Now, there is a lot to go into this before I just give you a simple yes or no. So it depends on the intersection. Is it safe? You know, when you have rail, when you have TTC bypass, those are things that you may not be looking for, and you may be making a U-turn in those areas. Now, there are intersections throughout the city of Toronto that specifically say U-turn permitted. That is an indicator that cycle is accommodating of that. But you pay attention anyway. You're still responsible for everything you do. What is this? Bond? What? Norm wants to know. Oh, Steve is asking Salinas. What's it? Your mom's your dad. What up, gangster? Is the question. It's Monday. I don't know how to respond to what up, gangster. Other than I'm glad to be here. It's a good time. By the way, if you don't know who I am, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service, and I talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff every single day, even when I'm on vacation. Although I managed to unplug this particular time around, which is good. Just looking over to the lone little island here of Instagram. They're the only people that are on a different page. And I see here, if light turns red and you are on left lane to turn left, can you proceed or not legally? What? You're in a it just turned red and you're on the left lane to turn left. Can you proceed? Okay, I got to unpack this. I'm assuming you mean you're waiting behind the stop line, at which point you cannot, lights turned red, you can't enter the intersection. If you were already in the intersection waiting to turn left, you're inside the intersection, it's turned red, you're legally obligated to clear that intersection. Hope that's clear as mud. When approaching a controlled crosswalk, does the driver have to wait until the pedestrian finishes crossing? Oh, okay. Talking about crosswalks. A lot of questions about crosswalks lately. Sadly, not a lot of people understand how this works. You have to yield to pedestrians. So if you are approaching a crosswalk and there's a pedestrian legally within it, you have to yield to them. Once they've crossed your half of the roadway, you can continue as long as there's no crossing guard in the intersection, because they can absolutely control that intersection. You have to wait until everyone's off. Wow, Norm's got to go. What is Norm's problem today? Maybe Norm has always got a problem. Hang on a second. Let's say goodbye to Norm. Goodbye, Norm. Norm is Norm's a Freeman of the Land person and who wants to take over the chat, and we don't have time for that. So we said goodbye. I'm all for people having opinions, but when they spam, please don't spam. See, spam is that's the ingredients. Spam comes in a can. Has no place in our chat. If you are watching on TikTok, please hit the screen as often and as continuously as possible, till your fingers go numb. It helps bring people to the good old chat room. But this is really one where I don't have a problem with having a small group or a big group. We're here to talk to you, answer your questions, not Norm's questions, because Norm is funny like that. But everybody else's questions are welcome. Now, let's see here. Rayan says, I got jump. Does that mean what kind of jump you got? I don't know. Let's move on. What is this? Okay, Chase, who's back with questions. Can you explain the new changes the government wants to make for stunt charges? They said mandatory 1-3 lifetime suspensions on conviction, but I think that's already the case. I don't know if there's new things. So new as in not yet in play, I'm not aware of. We can look that up. If you've got a link. Ooh, I put too much. That's a little too. I put in. Where's my little spritz bottle of it? Anyway, it's Nestea iced tea. I put it into the water. I put too much. That's really strong. I gotta dilute that with other water. So yeah, right now, if you are convicted of a stunt driving charge, you get a 1 to 3 year driving ban on your first conviction, a 3 to 10 year driving ban on your second, and a lifetime on your third. I don't know about this mandatory change that you're. We could just Google it. Can we just Google it? Let's Google it. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Come on there. Where'd it go? Okay, proposed changes to stunt driving laws. See what happens. Yes, I Google things too. I don't see any new. This is not new. I'm not seeing any new. If you've got a link, send me a link there, mister, and we'll have a look further. And if you got more questions about stunt driving for anybody else, because I talk about stunt driving all the time, but if you've got more questions, we generally have answers. By the way, I think I started to say this before I got distracted, but something. My name is Sean Shapiro, and I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service. I work at Traffic Safety Programs, which is part of Traffic Services. Now, Traffic Services is a citywide unit. We handle anything that moves, essentially, wheels, it rolls, trains, planes, and automobiles. Kind of, that's a movie. Anyway, we investigate collisions. We deal with Highway Traffic Act enforcement. And, yeah, that's the thing. So if you're talking about getting information about driving laws, well, this is the place to get it. And we are on all the platforms, not just TikTok. But wherever you are watching, please follow us because we'd like to keep in touch. You know what I'm saying? I see that Jewish Mama is watching, and they've updated their name from Stop Anti-Semitism Today. I'm glad that you've let me know it's you. Otherwise, I would not know it was you, and then I would think you're somebody else. Let's see here. That's Norm's stuff. We can ignore that. We have here Radic with a question. Would you support a law prohibiting commercial and large vehicles from making right turns on red lights to increase pedestrian safety? So it's interesting that you bring this up because there's obviously people who want to restrict or remove the right to or the ability to make right turns on reds throughout the province. And there's good reason for that because when we make those right turns, we're interfering with the flow of pedestrian traffic. But there's issues right now because pedestrian traffic interferes with our ability to make right turns, and if we have those people in the same place at the same time, we have high risk environments. So I don't have a problem with restricting or stopping right turns on red lights. The issue is if we make it only for commercial vehicles and large vehicles, then everybody else who has the ability to gets really frustrated. And then they'll honk horns, and no one will understand anything. So I think we either just take it away or not take it away. Yeah. I don't have a problem with it either way. At the end of the day, you have to ensure it can be done safely. And what I'm seeing more often than not is people making right turns on reds without even coming to a stop because people don't understand the laws or they don't care about them. I prefer to believe they don't understand them rather than, are reckless. Okay. Let's see here. Boom-ba-doo. What restrictions do you have with a G2 than a G? Well, the first thing is zero blood alcohol content. You can't have any booze or drugs in your system whilst operating a motor vehicle as a G2 or G1 operator. G2 also has restrictions in the first year as to how many people that you can have in your motor vehicle that are not your immediate family between the hours of midnight and 5 a.m. The first 6 months, you can have up to 1 under the age of 20. And in the second 6 month period, you can have up to 3 under the age of 20. But that is only dealing with the folks, with passengers within the hours of midnight and 5 a.m. Other than that, it's pretty much nothing else to talk about. No other restrictions. You can't have more people than you have seatbelts, but no one you can. It's just an additional condition. That's it. Cole says, good morning. Good morning to you. What is this? Pulled over and swabbed, I'd fail, yet I'm not impaired. But you have, so if you are pulled over and swabbed, you have more than zero. If you fail, you have more than zero, and you have to have zero. It's not about impairment when you're a learner or a person under the age of 22. It's about having more than zero. So if they're talking specifically swabbed for cocaine or marijuana, because those are what the swabs look for. So if you failed, you shouldn't be driving. You are to comply with the conditions. If you are talking about impairment charges, well, that swab wouldn't be applicable. Still talking, says live listening. What's going on live? Well, yes, I'm still talking. You're still live listening, and we're good. Good morning from Michigan. Have a wonderful day. How's it going, Michigan? My cousin's a copper in Michigan and tunes in when he can. And I'm going to be visiting him in Michigan soon. So Michigan's awesome. Okay, moving on. What are your thoughts on people filming in public? The USA freaks out a lot. Canada, the same over cameras. Well, I don't know how they freak out. Morty, do you mean like what are we talking about here? The auditors? Like filming in public is perfectly legal. Filming people, on the street doing stuff, as long as it's not for a sexual purpose, it's okay. There's obviously issues with people being creeps, but then there's also the filming police, and that's legal as well. You're allowed to film police, but give me more context. I mean, I don't think anybody has a problem with filming anywhere as long as you're complying with the law. Yeah, looking for where we left off. Here we go. Dune says, g'day. G'day to you too. Dove says, heyo. Heyo right back at you. We got Austin wants to know about two right turning lanes. Can both lanes turn on a red? The answer is, if they're both turning lanes, they can both turn on a red as long as you've come to a complete stop. There's no sign prohibiting it. So you've come to a complete stop and it's safe to proceed. So then you also have to turn into the appropriate lane, which people get wrong. I do this all the time in terms of making right turns from either of the right turn lanes on a red. And it freaks people out because most people don't realize it's legal. If not, so what, says God bless you. Right back at you. The crazy Greek of Canada says, stop selling alcohol and the streets will be safer, but the government will not. How much money involved? Well, listen, no alcohol by law will probably do what it did last time, turn it underground. I don't know if you get rid of a problem. It just pushes it somewhere else. But alcohol does cause a lot of problems. Mr. Hockeyman says, thanks, Sean. Enjoy listening to you on 1010. Keep up the good work. Thanks very much. Appreciate it. Which reminds me, I got to find out if we're on News Talk this Wednesday, because we jump into the show with Jerry Agar every other Wednesday. We had some bippity, boppity, skippity mishaps where I was on vacation, he was on vacation. So it's very possible that this Wednesday will be the day if he's back. If he's back and I'm back, we're both back, we'll be on the radio. Yeah. Good morning, Tracy. How you doing? Long time no see. And I say that because I haven't seen anybody in a while. It's been a week. What are the window tint laws in Ontario? So very, very simply, you can't prevent people from seeing in. If it's so dark that we can't see in, that's an obscuring the interior of a motor vehicle charge. Windshield can't have any tint, and that's actually more serious than simply obscuring the interior. That's actually an unsafe motor vehicle. So how does this differ? If your windows are just dark enough that, or the windows left and right of the driver are just dark enough that you obscure the interior, you're looking at a $110 fine. If you're talking about having windows that are so dark that you've now made it, well, illegal because it's an unsafe motor vehicle, if it's more than 30% light blockage, those license plates are coming off, your vehicle cannot move, and you're going to have to go get safety and reapply for a new motor vehicle permit. So, yeah, two different things. Both of them serious, one much more serious. I've seen a lot of Teslas without front license plate. Are they removed? So the front license plate mount on a Tesla is actually affixed to the body with double-sided tape. It sucks. I love Elon, but that's something that the car just hasn't got right. So they fall off. And unfortunately, or fortunately, or regardless, It's the responsibility of the driver to ensure that you have both plates affixed appropriately. Now, the simplest and best option is tow hook adapter. It's one that's not going to fall off because it's not tape that's holding it. If there is no tow hook adapter, and I'm pretty sure the Tesla has a tow hook adapter in the front, there are some pretty cool available mounts that go into the underbody of the car and make it happen. So there's some options, but you're going to get a $110 ticket, and people do get ticketed for $110 when they're not displaying a front plate appropriately. Behind the windshield, not acceptable. That's not the front. So, Chris, you're absolutely right that you see a lot of them because there's a lot of violators out there. And those are the ones, I'm going to say like it's 50-50. Some of them, it fell off and they just don't know what to do and they throw it in the trunk and move on with their lives, but they can get tickets for it just as much as the people with the fancy cars like Lambos and Porsches who don't want to, muddy up the look of their beautiful ride. Well, some of them decide that having a front plate is just something they're willing to pay $110 a month for. I'm assuming they get tickets once a month for it. They consider it, violating or a law that's or no front plate by way of subscription model. I don't agree with that. I would escalate them. So if I pulled someone over, and I often did when I was on the road, where they'd had a number of tickets for having no front plate. Well, here's the deal. I stopped giving front plate tickets to them. And I mean that by I stopped giving them tickets they could pay. I started summonsing them to court because when they have multiple tickets and they're not following up and correcting the issue, it means they don't care. If they don't care, it's time to have them speak to a justice of the peace on the bench in court in person. So I summons them to court on a particular court date. They'd have to then respond to court. And, of course, the fines go up in court. Anon wants to know what is on the back of my head. On the back of my head, it's mostly scalp. On top of, like here, I'm wearing a yarmulke. It's a kippah. What happened in Regent today? Don't know. I've been locked in my studio preparing a presentation. Actually, it's a training module for police officers. So that's one of the reasons I was a few minutes late starting off because I had stuff to do. And I often have stuff to do. It's a problem. I've got lots of stuff to do, not enough time to do it. But I'll have to follow up with the news and figure out what you're talking about after the show. By the way, it's a hard stop in 33 minutes because I've got more work to do. So this is unfortunately I've been doing like 2-hour live streams and I love doing them. But unfortunately today I've got other stuff that will keep me true to my 1-hour time frame. All right. We got that. Tracy's answering. By the way, please put a letter Q in the into the line of questions so I know that it's a question, not just dialogue amongst everybody else, because that happens too. All right. When all seats with seatbelts are occupied, can you have additional adults in a vehicle? Jay Dono wants to know. Dono or Dono? Let me know. Oh, okay. The answer is you can only have as many people in a vehicle that you have available seats with seatbelts. You cannot have more. So if you had a 4-seater vehicle and you wanted to try and squeeze a 5th person in, that person would be eligible for having not occupied a space where they were to have a seatbelt. Or they were not to, what's the wording I'm thinking of? Anyway, it's illegal. $110, $240 for no seatbelt. So that's not good. $240 for the no seatbelt. If that person's under the age of 16, the driver is going to get the seatbelt ticket. If it's there's also what is the other one? There's another charge for drive with more people than seatbelts. And if it's a condition of your license, which it is if you're a learner, there's a condition for that. Hang on a second. Let's see. Seatbelt. I keep pressing the wrong thing. No, stop. Come back. Here we go. Highway Traffic Act. I'm doing my little search here. Seatbelt. Not bicycle. I said, here we go. What is going on here? Not working well for me today. Belt. Seat. All right, driver's licenses, equipment, off-road vehicles, passenger, here we go, rules of the road, seatbelts. So, passenger failed to occupy a position with seatbelt, $240. I'm looking for a driver charge. Drive while passenger under the age of 16 fails to occupy a position with seatbelt. Drive with child passenger not properly secured. There's also maybe it's under a different section for learner. Drive while crowded, that's potential if it's in the front seat. Additional stuff. Cause or permit. thought there was a condition for G2 drivers or G1 drivers. Excess of passengers between midnight and 5 a.m., yeah. Here, G1 license holder, more passengers than seatbelts. And G2 license holder, more passengers than seatbelts. There you go. So you get additional charges for them. Either way, don't do stuff like that. I got to scroll back because there's a whole bunch of questions that have come in. Love it when questions come in. That's what we're here for. I also want to have a look here and see if we've missed anything. The Renmore House 29 says, are there any benefits to take police foundations to become a police officer? Education is good. Any education is good. So, are there benefits? It's a good course. Do you need it? Absolutely. No, you don't absolutely need police foundations. You can, in fact, apply with an accounting degree. You can apply here with basket weaving. Different courses give you a different advantage, and they make you more of a dynamic applicant. In other words, if we all have the same course background, we're the same. If you have something that's unique, you bring something unique to the police service, making us better. What is this? Do you think having a personal alcohol tester and taking it before you drive is a good idea? If you are so close to the wire that you are trying to figure out if you are impaired by blowing into a little box, you're too impaired already, in my opinion. No alcohol when driving is the best answer. I know that a lot of people don't like that answer because it's less fun than the party answer. But you've got to make good decisions, and you make those decisions when you're sober, not while once you've been drinking. So that's my story. Okay. Oh. Fadl wants to know, good morning, are motorcycles expected to pay parking when parked at unpaid parking areas? If you're on the street in the city of Toronto at green P spots, you're not required to. That's a Toronto thing. It's awesome. If you're talking about the green P parking lots, you are required to pay parking, which makes things difficult because you have nowhere to really display them. And that's one of the reasons why green P on the street made it legal for free parking, which is awesome. I said that twice. Awesome. It's so awesome I said it twice. Yeah. Let's see here. But yeah, private parking, you got to pay. And ones that use license plates are easy. It's the ticket ones that make it difficult. Either way, the street parking's awesome. Try not to say awesome anymore today because it would be overly awesome. Okay. Question. What is considered in the intersection? If your front tires are over the stop line, if you're supposed to complete the maneuver on a change of signal light, most guys just end up reversing. So once you've entered the intersection, and you're asking when that is, if any part of your vehicle is in the intersection, that's across the stop line. So if you have blocked part of the crosswalk, you're in the intersection. You've gone too far. You would have been considered, if you stopped there, you stopped in the wrong place. You've entered the intersection. You could be ticketed for that, stopping in the wrong place. If you're generally speaking, if you're a foot in, should you rush through the intersection? Logic suggests you shouldn't. It's probably, although technically in the intersection, everybody else will start moving, you're going to cause a collision. So while you've technically done the wrong thing, I think it would be even more wrong to enter the intersection. Could you be charged for entering the intersection or not clearing? I think, again, logic would prevail in a police officer, although they could give you a ticket for stopping in the wrong place or have a conversation about where you're supposed to stop. I think you're going to have more of a problem if you enter the intersection and complete the turn on a red because you're like, hey, well, the front bumper was an inch into the crosswalk, so I'm just going to proceed through because I'm obligated to. No, I think that the average person would look at you like you're crazy. But I think it's an interesting conversation to have. And I think we should have that with the sergeant because I think he would say the same thing as me, but I'm always interested to know his perspective. Lucas wants to know what my thoughts on car meets are. I have no problem with car meets. Car meets, for the purposes of parking them, looking at them, admiring them, I think those are magical, wonderful ways to meet with friends and enjoy the company of other car enthusiasts. But in terms of people who are driving like idiots in parking lots and doing burnouts, those people need to be arrested. That's pretty much how I determine car show and place to connect versus doing dumb stuff. That's my take. What do we got here? Why doesn't all of Canada have the same traffic laws? Why are violations different in each province? I'm going to drink some coffee and then I'll tell you. Props to Yeti because this thing keeps my coffee hot. I made this at 4:45 this morning, and it's still awesome. Okay. Why doesn't all of Canada use the same traffic laws? Well, it's because every province makes their own rules. Every state makes their own rules when it comes to traffic stuff. They differ. They want to. I don't know why they don't make it federal, because our criminal code is federal. In the states, though, the criminal code differs. Like they don't have a federal set of criminal laws. Like murder in the United States changes in state to state. Not what qualifies as murder, but how they proceed with it. It's a state charge, not a federal charge. Federal charges in the states are like mail fraud. That's federal. Different laws. I don't have a problem with the way it is. The vast majority of the laws are the same throughout the provinces, but they do differ in terms of mostly qualifications and the costs of fines and the way they proceed on some of them. Like our stunt driving laws are very serious. Our speeding laws are very lax in terms of the cost, much more expensive in other provinces. It's interesting. When riding a motorcycle, is it legal to lane split? No, it's not. It's not specifically illegal by way there is no lane splitting law. However, lane splitting, the activity of driving between two cars, making your own lane, or two motor vehicles making your own lane, splitting the difference, riding the dot. That is careless driving, that is stunt driving, or even criminal dangerous driving, all depending on what the officer observes. What do we got here? YT Bike Boy says, what are your thoughts on car shows, modified cars, and the whole car scene? Well, we're car people. At least I say we, because I speak on behalf of traffic people, or generally car people. I'm certainly a car and motorcycle people. And I love these things. I used to hang out at the Timmy's with 50 motorcycle people, and we'd all shoot the poop over, what we did with our bikes, and we modified our stuff. We modified them legally for the most part. I say that because I don't know what everyone in the parking lot did. Legal modifications are legal. Illegal modifications are not. And I have no problem with people who do things to beautify, customize, make their vehicles more efficient or even faster. It's not about modifying things legally. It's about when people do silly things like chop off their mufflers. So I have no problem with any of those things. The car shows have become an issue because people do dumb stuff at them. That's it. I don't know how York Region is dealing with the difference between a car meet that is a legal one versus a stunt meet, which is a bunch of people breaking the law. I've only seen the headlines that it's like $10,000 if you're a business that promotes one of these events. But what qualifies? I have to read up on what they qualify it as. Did everyone know if you were born before 1996, you're older than Google? Well, I'm older than most things, so I get it. As I'm quickly approaching being older than dirt. I was watching a magical video on TikTok last night that reminded me that I am closer to 80 than I am to 1980. That's depressing. It also reminded me that the lead character, I shouldn't say lead character, one of the main characters in Cocoon was 49 when he filmed that episode, or that film, which means I'm the same age as the old guy who was trying to not, die and wanted to. Anyway, I have to go watch Cocoon again. Depressing stuff. Tint meter reads 29% on the front windows. It is factory installed tint from Volkswagen. I'd have to have a look at that. It should, 29% of light getting through, it has to see 75%. I have a hard time believing that a tint meter reads 29% because fluff floating in here. Tint meters usually show how much light is coming through. So, I don't know what kind of equipment you're using to monitor that. If you have 29% of your light coming through your windshield is not legal. That means you're only getting 30% light getting through. It's not enough. Not enough. And the Golf R says VW doesn't factory tint front windows. Well, I didn't need to go there because everyone else went there. Yeah. See, maybe there's a UV coating on their perfectly clear and optically correct windshield. Let's see here. Canadian Ape wants to know if I'm on a motorcycle and the red light won't change, can I proceed through after a certain time? Not in Ontario. My suggestion would be to make a right turn legally on a red after making sure it's safe, and then U-turning where it can be safe or going a different way. But just proceeding through, not legal. I know people do it, but you could be charged. I say rare earth magnets on the underbelly of your bike to try and trigger the system. That's what I always installed. What is this? If you remove right turns on red, then every intersection needs advanced right turns. Yeah, road cams, I think you got it. I think it would change the way we do business, and it would make for even more traffic. And I think some people are okay with that. And it's certainly, if it prevents unnecessary death, and any death on the road is unnecessary, then maybe it's worth it. I don't know. It's a topic for discussion. It's obviously a discussion happening by many people. What is this? Perry PP. What is this? If some car got illegal parking, a ticket for illegally parking, and the ticket flew away by air immediately, what happens? Well, you're still responsible for it. Truth is that we can mail you a ticket. Like if the ticket was issued and served and then it flew away, you would still be found guilty. Now, the officer put it onto the car. They took a picture of it on the car. It didn't just fly away. When you touched it, it flew away. It means you lost your copy. You'd have to look into it. In terms of if you drove away and the officer hadn't even had a chance to put it on your windshield, that's called a drive away. They'll mail you the ticket. Okay. What do we have here? Not sure where you're going with this, but the question is, how many international students are you legally allowed to rent your car to? You can't. I don't think you can legally rent your car. You're not a rental agency. I don't know. I'm sure you're trying to dig somebody for something, but yeah, you shouldn't be renting your vehicle. I don't think your insurance will even cover you as a rental company. And yeah. And then international students need to ensure that they have local licenses, because after 30 days, 30 days? 30 days is, I've already, see, I go away for a week, I forget my numbers. Once you're a resident, I think it's 30 days, you have to get your local license. Okay, it's 60 days. I gotta look it up. Jana wants to know, is it Yana or Jana? Anyway, does G2 experience count for the 5-year driving requirement of passengers accompanying a G1? So first of all, it's 4 years. And yes, time whilst you are a G2 does count, but you must have a total of 4 years experience, including, or as a G2, 4 years experience, you have to have a G, and 4 years experience, and the experience as a G2 counts. Boy, that was harder to say than I expected. But there you go. The best way to go is to confirm that you have the 4 vertically arranged dots to the left of your mini-me photo in the bottom right-hand corner of your license. Okay. Can you drive a school bus that is not for school purposes? Is it a G-class vehicle? If it's not a school bus, if it's not a bus, if you've repurposed it for, like you've taken all the seats out, you don't have 12 seats in it, then it would be a G-class vehicle. It would cease to be a bus but it's based on the number of seats you have. So, like I know people convert them to campers, and then they're G-class vehicles. Emma, happy Monday from Emma. Let's see here. Cowboy says, mom's car was in a hit and run last night. Contacted Waterloo Regional Police Service, non-emergency, and waiting for an officer now. I'm really sorry to hear that. Hopefully you got photos. Hopefully they left good evidence. Oddly enough, when people strike vehicles, they often leave their entire front bumpers behind, and those bumpers often have license plates. But that's no fun. That's never a good thing. Okay. Do I wait for the officer before we go to the collision center? You don't need to wait for an officer. If you've called one, I would wait for them because you've already put the call in and you're in the queue. You could always call back and say, shall I just go to the collision reporting center? Because the idea of having an officer attend is so you don't go to a collision reporting center. And maybe there was evidence there that they need to access. But if it's a simple failed to remain collision and you can just go to the collision reporting center. But since you made the call, I would call back and cancel the call. If you are pre-diabetic, do you have any medical end on a license? Do you have any restrictions for being pre-diabetic? No. I mean, if you're pre-diabetic and diabetic, what does that mean? It means your blood sugar is all over the place. but there's no conditions on your license. Obviously, if you're incapable of maintaining your consciousness because of your blood sugar is out of whack, you're going to be responsible for what happens when you lose consciousness. But that's where you would be diabetic at that point, I would assume. Okay. What do we got here? A reminder to please use the letter Q so that I know it's a question as opposed to just dialogue amongst yourselves. Good morning, Sean. Any tips when it comes to driving in the rain? It's coming down hard today. You know what it is? Reduce your speed. Drive with your full headlight system on. You should be checking your windshield wipers on a regular basis to make sure that they are free of debris and functioning properly. Because oddly enough, some people use their windshield wiper and they looks like junk. Like they have terrible wipers. Change them when you change your oil is what most people say. Nobody does that, but it's a good, thing to pretend that you do. When they starts going, like I carry spare windshield wipers in the back. If they're not wiping, I pull over and switch them because I like to be able to see. It's kind of important. Just saying. Okay. What's the motivation behind motorcycles being allowed in HOV while solo? I'm a rider, just curious. So two things. One, it's a greener, better way to get around in terms of being able to use less fossil fuels. So they want to promote that, but also it's for safety. Like if there's an HOV and we can get you moving through traffic, that's a good thing. Might there be other reasons? Sure. Might those reasons not be the reasons they actually, yeah. That's my understanding. Those are the reasons I think that they allow it. I am happy that they allow it. I'm only sad that I'm not on a motorcycle these days. But rubber side down. Be safe out there. Let's see. Okay, what is this? People walk out in front of my car in parking lot, not stopping or looking. Who has the right of way? Anna, this is the in a parking lot. It doesn't really matter who has the right of way, to be quite honest, because if you hit them, bad things are going to happen. So this is where you use extreme caution and watching people do dumb stuff. I was at Wonderland this weekend, and the parking lot was a mess with people, and people with child, like pushing cars, baby carriages, and they would emerge between vehicles at speed. I watched and had to drive around what looked like a 2-year-old wandering the parking lot, and the driver of the car that they were wandering around simply said, go to the back, go. I'm like, really? Anyway, the problem is that when bad things happen, everyone's insurance pays, trauma ensues. Like it's just a bad scene. So just use extreme caution. What do we got here? Take it out of convenience stores. I think we're talking about alcohol. Why we don't enforce people camping in the left lane or passing in the right because of it. Well, passing on the right really isn't about highways. It's about single or 2-lane roads where people are slowing to make left turns, and the question is, can you pass on the right? And it's whether or not there's a paved shoulder or not. So different things. If you're talking about left lane campers, we do enforce it, but often we are enforcing the people who are speeding. Because what's a camper? Is a camper a person who's doing 110 in a 100, but the person who considers them a camper wants to do 130? So it really depends on your priorities and your perspectives. Okay. What is this? Moving along. What is this? Oh, here. Talked about this. What's this? Why is it not distracted driving when your phone is in front of you, stuck to the windshield? It's obscuring the driver's view, so it is an offense. And you also can't use the phone for anything other than GPS when it's stuck to the windshield. You're only allowed to touch it to answer and touch it to hang up. Anything else is not legal. The only thing you can have, the only app you can have open is your, your navigation app, your GPS. And that's only open in the GPS mode. Set it, forget it, not while you can't actually interact or touch it to add anything. I see people watching movies when they're driving, but I also used to charge people for all those things. Can you please teach people how to do a roundabout? Susan, I really wish people understood the simplicities, the magic of roundabouts, but it appears that most people don't get it. And I say that because whenever I go into one, it is a game of chicken to find out if they realize that I have the right of way while I'm inside of it. They also don't realize that they have to signal their exit of a roundabout, but that's another thing. Other provinces apparently make you, signal in, which makes no sense. And, I question some of the laws from other places. Integrated taillight, legal on motorcycle, signal and brakes, all in one. You have to be able to discern a signal. So if the little single light blinks all over the place, but no one can see it, it's not discernible at 150 meters, and therefore it would be illegal. It has to be clearly discernible. And sometimes they use different colors. They'll do orange LEDs when signaling, but sometimes it just looks like a blinking light. You can't tell directionality. So it really depends. And sometimes looking good and being safe are very different things. Brandon says, a late good morning to you all. Let's have an amazing day. Awesome message. Why doesn't Alberta need 2 license plates? Because they're Alberta and they do things different. We do need it, so it's better. We're better here. Truth is, we appreciate, and the Premier actually talked about dropping 1 plate because it's half the cost saved. So they were talking about doing it here, and the Police Association of Ontario basically said, no, we like being able to see people twice as, coming or going. It's important to be able to identify vehicles, especially in Amber Alert situations. I think 2 plates makes a lot of sense. Why are electric vehicles allowed on the roadway when they have no license or no insurance? Electric motor vehicles, if they, like Teslas and Harley-Davidson motorcycles, they do need license and ownership and insurance. If you're talking about e-bikes that qualify, and it's really important to say qualify, because not all e-bikes qualify. E-bikes, electric bicycles are motor vehicles, just like a moped is a motorcycle. And if it doesn't meet the qualifications under the legislation to give it special privileges to be treated as a bicycle, well, guess what? It's still a motorcycle. And people don't realize it, or they do and they don't care, but they buy e-bikes, they modify them to go over the 32-kilometer legal maximum, not just speed limit. It cannot be capable of going faster in order to qualify as an e-bike. So if it's capable of doing 33 kilometers on a flat, 33 kilometers an hour on a flat surface, it's a motorcycle. You need license, ownership, and insurance. If you have an e-kick scooter and you're inside of an area that has the pilot in effect where you're allowed to use them, not Toronto, if it does more than 24 kilometers an hour, it's a motor vehicle again. It's back to being a motor vehicle. It needs license, ownership, and insurance. And of course, you can't get these a license for these. You can't get you can get a driver's license. You can get a motorcycle license, but you can't get a permit for them. You can't get a license plate for them. You can't insure them. And it would be required to have them on the road. So people are in a little bit of a pickle because they're going to get charged for big-time offenses for violating them. Jake says, thank you for your service. Thank you for the thank you. Aaron wants to know, I had a traffic violation that got thrown out of court. Always fight your tickets. That's not really, that's just a statement. Don't always fight your tickets. Because if you actually are responsible, why waste everyone else's money? Because it's court money, which means taxpayer money. So it means you're part of the problem of why everything is going up. Also, you could just avoid traffic violations by not breaking the law. Just saying, Aaron, just for you especially. Sorry for everyone else who just went, why do you yell in my ear? But anyway, I just, the audacity of everyone saying, just fight it because you can get off. You could possibly go and negotiate it, have a first appearance, but don't waste taxpayer money. It's just so ignorant. Okay, let's see here. Can you drive a car with underglow lights on? I pressed the wrong button. That's not what I wanted to put. Anyway, the underglow question, which skipped, stop it. The underglow question that skipped away was simply, yes, you can, depending possibly how it's installed. Could get you a ticket or might not. Okay. Can I drive a friend's car while mine's in the shop? If we both have our own insurance. So as long as the vehicle, doesn't matter if you have your own insurance or not, as long as the vehicle is insured for the roads in Ontario, then yes, you can borrow a car if you're a properly licensed driver. That's the thing. If you're a licensed driver, you can borrow a car that is insured. Yes. What is this? What is the rule when driving on a 2-lane highway and an emergency vehicle is coming in the opposite direction? Pull over. It's a 2-lane, 4-lane, 8-lane, 12-lane. If you are on a undivided road, meaning the division between north and south or east and west is a painted line, then all traffic must pull over and stop. If you're talking about a divided highway like the 401 where east and west are separated by a barrier, they're basically two sets of one-way roads in opposing directions, then opposing traffic does not need to pull over because they're not on the same road, effectively. All right. What do we got here? Lots of dialogue amongst yourselves. How much is driver? Here we go. Oh, lots of updates here. I lost the question. Oh, well. It disappeared. I was about to jump on it, and it went away. Southside Tints says, hey, why are front window tints illegal across the border and you don't see anyone without it? Well, it's illegal in places like Florida, too. It's not, windshield tints is not legal because it actually restricts light from coming through your windshield, which means you see less, which means you're more dangerous. Wear sunglasses. I do see many vehicles, and the Orange County Sheriff's Office sees it too, and they ticket them in Florida for it. So I don't know how far south or where. There are provinces within Canada that do allow it. Very minimal, but it does happen. And yeah, it's not all of the United States that allows it, is what I'm trying to say. Do I have to put my indicator on even when I'm in a turning lane? Yes, you do. You must indicate your plan to change direction, regardless of the lane you're in. What are you doing to stop high drivers, and how do you detect it? Well, oddly enough, impairment is something that shows up when people are impaired by drugs or alcohol. Usually it's cues like the way you're speaking or driving. Now, we also have buccal swabs to find out if someone has cocaine or marijuana in their system. That's just for more than 0. But we have drug recognition experts or evaluators, and they actually put you through a battery of tests. We also have roadside sobriety testing, which is, again, like the stuff you see in movies. We do that in real life. That's basically it. Then we charge you. What is this? Boop-a-doo, you should... Oh, some Yolip is talking about tyrants and bananas. But they're funny. All right. I want to talk about... What is this? Have you seen... don't know what that... Oh, hang on. Actually, we're almost done. We're at the hour. I was going to respond to somebody who's just spamming, but it's not worth it. Okay. Sam I.M. says people drink every weekend and drive home. They do, and some of them kill people. Other people just get arrested without killing somebody. But at the end of the day, impairment is not legal. People do dumb stuff, but doesn't make it right. Are there charges for taxi drivers if the passenger is not wearing a seatbelt? The answer is yes. If the person is under the age of 16, the driver would be charged. If their person is over 16 or 16 and over, then they get the ticket themselves. So there's no charge for the driver. So it's only if it's a person under 16 not wearing the seatbelt. What am I thinking about? Oh, yeah. I'm thinking about there's an exemption for... Actually, hang on a second. No, that's going to be for there's an exemption for buses and taxis, so they wouldn't get a seatbelt charge, would they? I got to look it up now. I'm confusing myself. It's the reason I say maybe it's not seatbelts, maybe it's just the child safety restraints. But then that child would not have to be in a seatbelt. Yeah, I'm going in a circle here. I got to look it up. See what happens when you go on vacation? You forget stuff. Because there's an exemption for child safety seats. Does everyone else have to wear the seatbelt? Not in the bus. There's no seatbelts in buses. Anyway, I'm having way too much fun going down rabbit holes here. What do I want to look at here? Careers. That's what I want to do. I want to talk about careers, and then I got to go. Oh, I cannot answer this call. Okay. Wrong button I pressed. Wrong button, I say. This is what I'm talking about. Here we go. Boom, careers. If you're interested in becoming a member of the Toronto Police Service, and I hope you are, because it's a fantastic place to work, visit www.tps.ca/careers, and you will get to this magical page. See all the happy people? Want to be a happy person like that? Just go to the website. You get information about becoming a police officer, and there's a big old Apply Now button. Yes, it works too. If you press it, you will go and find the application stuff. It's just how it works. Anyway, special constable, parking enforcement officer, communication operator, auxiliary volunteer. That's how I started. These are all information pages with the ability to apply. But if you click on the civilian roles, and I suggest you do, because not everybody wants to wear a uniform. And even if you do, the actual open portal of what's available, what job postings are open, are there. And currently there are 4 jobs: senior programmer, property and evidence clerk, social media specialist, and communications operator. So communications operator are those people who answer the phones when you call 911. They also the people who dispatch police officers to go to the calls after you've called for 911. 2 separate roles on the same floor. Now, that means that we're not hiring for parking. We're not hiring for other jobs right now, but we are hiring for police officer. So go in there and apply if it's something you think you want to do, or if one of those other 4 jobs is something you either want to do yourself or know someone who's looking to work for an amazing organization. I suggest you go to the website and check it out. And check it out on a regular basis, because maybe those 4 jobs aren't what you're looking for, but tomorrow there may be new jobs. And if you don't check on a regular basis, you will never know. Just saying. I wish I could get through all of these questions. I try. That's how I end up doing this for 2 hours every day, because I want to try and get through all the questions, but I can't. And today I really can't, because I got to go. Let's see here. Oh, boy, there's some funny people in the chat. Let's see here. Anyway, we're out of here. I'm going to play a song because I have it queued up, but I'm going to be gone after the song, and I'm not coming back till tomorrow. At least that's the plan. If you want to know when we go live, when we schedule a live, you can see it on YouTube. You can go to youtube.trafficcop.ca. We'll take you to our YouTube page where you can, follow us and get notifications. But you can also go to Twitter. Traffic Services on Twitter retweets what I put on VoiceOver Cop, and that's every time I schedule a show, I go and tell you what's happening. Not a firefighter, what's going on? I see you there. And here's a song. Wrong page. Wrong button. And here's a song.
Cruising down the road feeling fine, and you see the lights and it's not a good sign. You're worried about a ticket, what should you do? Well, don't you fret, cause I've got the answers for you. Sean's on the mic, he's the traffic cop. Live streaming questions, it never stops. Got a doubt about traffic laws or police? Just ask away and he'll put your mind at ease. Take it free highway, that's what we're all about. Sean saving you from tickets without a doubt. Live stream answers one question at a time, getting you out of trouble. That's the bottom line. Red or green light, when to make a turn, or what's the limit on this road you're on? Sean's got the knowledge, he's got the inside scoop. Never worry about a ticket, cause he's got your back too. So join the live stream, bring your questions here. No need to fear, cause Sean's always near. He knows the rules, all the do's and don'ts, so make sure you're driving safely, no more traffic wars. Take it free highway, that's what we're all about. Sean's saving you from tickets without a doubt. Live stream answers one question at a time, getting you out of trouble. That's the bottom line.
I said I wasn't going to come back, but I'm still here. Have a great day, everybody. Drive safe, drive sober, park legally, and we'll see you tomorrow. All the best. Can't find my mouse. Where's my mouse?